Talofa lava, I would normally say warm Pacific greetings, but my car said 5 degrees this morning. I want to thank the ministers, the Pacific leaders and the Honourable Consul General and everybody for hosting me here today. I want to acknowledge my current parliamentary colleague, Dr. Paramjit Parmar, but also my former parliamentary colleague, Sir William Seo, who is a kindly and wise man, an endangered species in Parliament. It's amazing he lasted as long as he did. So, good to see you again, William. Somebody said earlier, this is my first time here. Well, that's kind of true, but kind of not true. You see, I've been trying to get here for at least 30 years. True story. It all started when I was 12 years old in Form 1 at Raumanga Middle School up north in Whangarei. And our school planned a trip to Apia, a cultural exchange. And we spent the year selling sausages and fundraising. We actually made out of paper mache a huge 3-dimensional model of the islands of Samoa, and we made a fale out of toothpicks, a little bit like this one but much smaller. And at the end of that, our school was shut down and we didn't get to go. So that was my first attempt. Then, about 25 years after that, I got a letter from Jacinda Ardern, and I thought, I must be in trouble again. So I read the letter, and it said, I would like you to come to Samoa with me. And I thought it was so important to go that I got on the Air Force jet, which was even older than my attempts to go to Samoa. That jet was made before I was in Form 1. And William got on the plane with me, and I remember something he said. He was saying a prayer, and Jacinda Ardern said, is that for the plane? And William said, it's not just the plane, it's also the wind, the weather, lots could go wrong. And I thought, well, it's still important. And the reason I wanted to go was to meet Whiame Mataafa. Now, I know there will be people here with different opinions about political leaders in Samoa, and I'm sure people have opinions about different political leaders in New Zealand. In fact, I was pleased to hear me being compared to biblical figures. Half the time they say I'm Lucifer, so I quite like you guys. Very kind. But I wanted to meet Whiame, and I said to her at the time, all around the world, big countries are going in the wrong direction, away from democracy, away from human rights, away from peace. And yet this one tiny country in the middle of this huge ocean is going in the right direction towards democracy and towards peace. And I thought this tiny country, a little bit like New Zealand, is a beacon of light at the bottom of a troubled world, and that is something we should celebrate. I'm incredibly grateful for this Ava ceremony and these wonderful gifts. Thank you very much. And I know that in some ways, it's not just that I've been trying to get here for 30 years. Actually, it's because there's a very important bill before Parliament. And the values that I use to come to this, I believe that part of the reason there's trouble in the world is people spend too much time focusing on our differences. And I know one thing about every single person here. Everybody here has a heart, even the 3 politicians. And everybody here has a brain, even the politicians. And yet, That means everybody here has the ability to feel and the ability to think for themselves. That is what truly unites us. And if I can bring anything to politics, it's that simple belief that we should look past all the differences and look at what unites us. And what unites us here in New Zealand is one more thing. Apart from having a heart and a mind, all of us are pioneering people who have chosen to travel across the seas to a tiny country in the middle of nowhere called Aotearoa, New Zealand. Some of my ancestors came here 1,000 years ago, sailing waka horua in some of the most extraordinary Polynesian journeys. Paramji came here around 30 years ago when I first started trying to get to Samoa, and she came as part of an arranged marriage. She completed a PhD and she had 2 sons, but she came here 1,000 years after my first ancestors on a jumbo jet. What we all have in common is that all of us, or our parents or grandparents or ancestors, were prepared to give up what they had to try and make something better for their children in New Zealand. Amen. That is the thing that unites us two New Zealanders. And that is why, as a party, when we saw what we believe is a historic injustice in awarding citizenship or not, due to the complicated relationship between our two countries, we thought it was wrong to have people who have a heart and a mind and a story of journeying to this country. We thought it was wrong that they should be divided by the law and the exact time that their ancestors came here and the relationship between Britain and New Zealand and Samoa at a particular point in history. So today I stand before you saying we've taken the first step to send that bill to a select committee so that we can hear all of the voices. And there will be people who will make complicated constitutional arguments about why it's the right or the wrong thing to change this law back from the way it was done in 1982. And we have to listen to those arguments, and we will listen to them. But I can tell you that we are either going to vote for it or hear a very, very good and specific reason why we shouldn't. And so far, we have not heard that argument, so we're going to vote for it. My guarantee is you won't see me back here without a very, very good explanation of why we didn't vote for it, or telling you that we did vote for it. That is the point in the process that we have come to. Those are the values that we apply, that we all have a heart and a mind and a thought and a feeling. And I finally just leave you by saying it is truly humbling. I'm so grateful. Because I'm a politician, I'll just tell you, if I had known it was going to be such a beautiful ceremony, I would have brought a photographer. But I'm the kind of politician who's happy to show up and meet with the people with no photographers, because that's the real business of our country and our profession, is face-to-face, heart-to-heart and mind-to-mind. It's been wonderful to engage with everybody here today. Thank you and God bless.